So I was taking some notes at the gym, and they were over some different leadership traits that I thought were really important to anyone running companies and just leadership traits in general if you want to build any sort of team or be successful. And so I was just writing out some different traits that I thought were valuable to that, one through my experience and other things that I had learned from billionaires or just from groups that I had been in that I paid to get into, and just, the different things that I learned. And this is something that I'm really passionate about. I think that these traits are important and you need to understand them. And it saves you a lot of trial and error when you do understand them and approach them this way, because especially in the space I'm in OF and everything, there's a lot of people that don't approach it like a business. Strangely enough, it's like very behind in that sort of sense. And a lot of people just treat it as like a get rich quick scheme, and it's like the same on social media. You see everybody posting Lamborghinis and all this cool stuff, but nobody really talks about like the real traits and like the real process behind all of that. And so that's what I sort of wanted to get into here today. And so the first thing that people do that's a mistake before we start everything is quitting too early, right? And so I've been doing this for years at this point, right? And I've had many ups and downs. I've had times where I wasn't making any money. I've had times where I'm making lots of money. I've had to rebuild things. And so I've learned a lot along the way. But the most predominant factor in all of that is that I never quit. And I kept doing what I was doing, and the vision stayed strong, no matter what. And there's people that I worked with that didn't have that mentality, and they dropped out after 6 months or things like this. And the truth is that if you drop out of something, you're going to go to something else, and then you're going to drop out of that, and the cycle continues, and you'll never get good at anything. And so before you pick something, you have to think, if this didn't work for 3 years, would I still do it? If it was going to take 3 years before I finally figured it out and broke through, and would I do it? And a lot of time, life has plenty of opportunities. Everywhere you look, there's an opportunity. But a big skill is being able to say no to opportunities and prioritize one certain opportunity, because you can't do everything at once. And so you have to pick something. But whatever you do pick, you have to stay in it long enough to see the dream come to fruition, and all these things that I learned. I mean, we had at one point an entire year where we had one certain bottleneck and we stayed stuck at the same revenue the entire year, but we learned from that and we figured out what it was. And so we broke through it, right? But if I had quit at any time, then that would have never happened. And I had some team members, some really good people that stayed with me, and so we're able to build this, and we're going to keep growing. And that's the most beautiful thing. I think you have to love the game, and you really have to like trust it. And if you just quit and you drop out, like, you're never going to make it in anything in life. Like, if you're in like something bullshit and you don't like it, like, okay, quit. But if you're trying to be successful, you have to stay with something long, and people have, again, back to the social media stuff, they want to get rich in like a month. And so they just quit. And it's like Jeff Bezos, asked Warren Buffett, and he asked him, your strategy is so simple, it's so easy to follow, how come more people don't follow it? And Warren Buffett said, well, that's because my strategy is a get rich slow scheme, and everybody wants to get rich quick. And so in this day and age, if you can have a vision that's 3-5 years down the line and really see it through, you're going to have an advantage over everyone. And you'll definitely figure it out. If you have action every day, and every day you're improving your knowledge, every day you're working as hard as you can, then you will figure it out, but you have to decide that before you start anything. Is it something that I would dedicate this amount of time to if it really took that long? Some people do it way quicker, with OF pages. Sometimes we blow them up super fast. Sometimes it takes 6 months to get to 50K a month. And like, okay, that seems like super simple, but a lot of people will not see it through for that long. Like, if Instagram doesn't work in a month or 2 months, oh, I'm done, and it's like, well, then it's on to another traffic source, and this is on like a smaller level. So yeah. And so what ties into this perfectly, and I literally just have like a few notes here, like literally different points. Relentless positivity, right? This is going to be a necessity. If you're negative, and this is something like in our company culture, like, first of all, everyone that we work with, you have to be positive, because negativity is contagious and negativity spreads. And so if you're negative, it's already hard enough to succeed. It already takes enough consistency. You can't quit, right? And so if along that process you are negative, it's never going to work for you, because falls always happen. Many failures always happen. And you have to have this mentality that this isn't a failure. This is something that I'm learning from. This is something that is going to improve us. It's just data, and that's what positivity allows you to do. When something good happens, we're positive. When something bad happens, we're positive. It does not matter. We're always positive because we have this long-term vision and we're seeing that through. And so nothing can faze us, not the little things, like there's people that get mad in traffic. Like there's, like you have road rage because someone cuts you off, and it's like, look, you can never run a business like this. If you're getting mad over someone cut you off in traffic, like how are you gonna run a business? You need to be positive, and you can't let these little things bother you because there's a lot of noise, and there's signal and versus noise ratio. And so your signal needs to be much higher, at least 80% than your noise. And a lot of people are too focused on the noise, and they have too much noise in their life, and it causes them to become negative. And I've seen negativity and what it does to people, and pettiness, and these things will eat you alive, first of all, for your own life. But when it comes to building a company, you have to be positive. And so this goes into like controlling team morale. As a leader, it's very important that you control your team's opinions on certain topics. Make sure they stay positive, and it's your job to keep them motivated, and it's your job to keep them inspired. And it's very important to know what type of leader that you are, right? And there's many different types. But just for me, for example, I'm a visionary style of leader. I like to lead by example. I like to be a face of a brand. I like to propose a vision over this long, and this is what we're going to do. This is what it's going to look like. These are all the different things we're going to be doing. And the team resonates with that, because this is going to reflect in the people that you hire and the people that you work with. They're going to reflect off of your leadership style. And so a lot of times they need to be people that fit that leadership style. Some people are very like money oriented leaders, where they just motivate people with money, very straightforward SOPs. This is how you do it. You have to do it this way. I'm not like that way. I like collaboration. I like to hire people and bring on people that know more than me. Especially if they're going to manage any department, I won't bring them on if they're not better than me at it. And so in that way we can grow and we can improve. And I have people on my team, but they'll come in and say, hey, look, and they're gonna run this whole department. It's like a very important position, and they're like, hey, I don't like how this is being ran. Or not that, but it's like, hey, look, the way we're doing like this process is not right. It's not good. We need to make it better. And so I say, okay, and I hear them out, and I say, okay, well, let's change it then. And I hear them out on their expertise because they know more than me. And I think it's really important. Now, every type of leader is different, and every type of person that's running a company is different. But it's very important that you understand who you are, and that way you can bring people on, and you can control the morale of your team and make sure that everybody understands what the common goal is. Everybody understands what they're going for, and even it goes down to like VAs, people as simple as like lead sourcers or like chatters. Like a lot of agencies will think that this is just like the bottom of the line position. They don't really care, but even them, I'm even telling them the vision. Like it doesn't even like, why does that matter, right? But I want them to understand that here's why we're doing this. Like if you can do this, it's going to help us do this. And like, this is why, this is what we're going to build. I want to build like a long-term relationship with this. And I think that's just so important. And I will literally, everyone has to have this sort of mentality, or I don't want to work with them. It's just how it is. Like even creators, like I don't just sign anybody. We don't just work with anybody. We're very specific because we have a specific type of person that we can actually help. And so if we can't help a certain type of person and we just don't fit, we'll cut it within the first week. We're ruthless with it. And it's not like I'm not like a dickhead. It's not like, oh, fuck you, we can't work with you. There's nothing like that at all. Everything is completely good vibes. But if we just see that hey, this collaboration like isn't working, we won't do it. And there's a lot of agencies that sign everybody, and they're just like, oh, we work with everybody. But I'm a big believer that if you work with everybody in any business, then you specialize in helping nobody. And I still strongly do not believe that those people are all being helped and given a level of delivery that they can like just really maximizing what they could get. And so that's why I think it's really important that your team, your clients, everyone that you work with fits a certain vision. I don't care, could we make more money? Yeah, but that's not what it's about. Like, I'm trying to build something streamlined here. There's a bigger vision with all of it. And so a very important thing that a good leader does, and anyone that's built a successful company, brings good talent together. You have to be able to find talented people. And the best people that I've ever met that have came along with me through different businesses, through different things, to real talent, I didn't meet through job hiring sites. I met them from strokes of luck, being in the right places and just seeing them. And I wasn't trying to network, we just really resonated with each other, and we were the same, similar type of people. And when we had something and we said, yeah, we'll work together. And for whatever reason it happened, or someone introduced me to them. And that is how I met all of the best people. And it's not that you can't hire certain roles. There's nothing wrong with hiring. But there is I'm a big believer that the right people come together at the right time. I'm a big believer in that because that's been my experience. And so you have to be able to find talented people, bring them together. And again, that's what I like to do. I like to find people who are better than me. I love that. There's no ego in this at all. Now, I'm a firm believer in my beliefs, and I will speak very firmly about them. But when someone comes to me and tells me I'm wrong and tells me why, I will 100% hear them out. There's no ego about it. It's just how I am, right? And so bringing talented people together is key. And I'm telling you, every single role to me is I care about it. And I think there's a magic when you put everyone together that has this talent and the passion, and they all see the vision in the smallest role that you don't even think it would impact your company, but it can, right? And so that is the whole vision here. And we're not huge right now by any means, but we're certainly not small. And so I like to make this video, first of all, to see where it'll be at in a year. And also, there's people that are doing way more than me, and they might know more than me, but this is my takes based off my experience and what I've been through, right? And so a clear vision is very, very key, because without a clear vision, you're not going to know who to hire. You're not going to know who to work with. You're not going to know what you specialize in. You need to have a very, very clear vision on what you're trying to create, If you don't have a vision in any business that you're trying to run, then you have to even question if you're going to be able to do it in the first place, because it's hard. Nothing is easy that's worth having. And so if you don't have some sort of passion or some sort of long-term vision with it, it's going to be hard for you to fight through those times when it's difficult. And so having a clear vision is very key. And then this way also you can keep your people motivated. My team is not money motivated. They're motivated by the vision. They're motivated by what we're building and what we're doing. And it's not to say oh yeah, you don't have to pay your team if they're motivated by money. No, I want everybody to be rich and make as much money as possible. However, they're not even motivated by that in the first place. They want a vision. That's what they want, because they're talented people and they are a similar type to my type. And that's why we work together in the first place, if that makes sense. So clear vision, clear goals. What are we going for? Then you reverse engineer that. Okay, well, how will we execute this? And so a lot of people don't maximize their wins too. So when you're building, there's going to be a lot of things you don't know yet, right? But what's going to happen is when you're doing it, you're going to find a win. You're going to find a traffic method that's working super well, or an outreach, or something is going to work crazy well. A good example is trial reels. When they came out, trial reels was working. And so we maximized them. We were posting hundreds a day, and a lot of people that I knew they were working. And I told a lot of people that didn't really know about it how you could do it too. How you could just repost the same video. And they were only posting 5 to 10 a day. When I came and checked in with them, I'm like, dude, we're posting 100 a day. There is no upper limit. And so we maximize it as much as we can. And to this day, I still wish we maximized it more. I still wish we did more with it. But the whole point is when you get a win, you have to maximize it and you have to milk it as much as possible, or a real format that did well. Milk it until it does not work anymore, because there's going to come a time and day when that method does not work anymore. And you're going to wish that you milked it more. You're going to wish that you got every single drop, out of that. It's like when people talk about the good old days, oh, when I was in high school, I used to do this or whatever. Milk what's winning at the time. And that was kind of a weird example, but I think you understand, what I'm talking about. And so this is super important. Action and decision speed reality. A lot of people overweigh the value of decision accuracy, and they underestimate the value of decision speed. And so there was this interesting study like legit study that was done on decision-making speed versus decision accuracy, right? And so like down here would be like time to make a decision, and up here would be accuracy of the decision. And so the line sort of went like this. Right at 0 seconds, you would make there's a 50-50 chance that your decision is the correct decision. However, once you get to about 30 minutes, the accuracy dramatically stops going up. And so now you're facing diminishing returns. And so anything longer than 30 minutes that you're spending to make a decision, you're really just coping. The most important decision in your life can be made in 30 minutes if you spend those 30 minutes solely thinking about that decision with the information available, of course, and whether or not it's a good decision. And so an exercise that I do with myself and I tell my team to do all the time is that, especially with small decisions that aren't going to change the game completely, like should we do 4 of this or 5 of this, or stupid decisions, right? Simple decisions. Just make them as quick as possible, right? Because there's thousands. Let's say there's 1,000 decisions you have to make before you become a millionaire, just for numbers sake. If you take 2 days to make a decision, it's going to take you 6 years to become a millionaire, or to make $1 million, right? If it takes 1,000 decisions, and it's probably going to take more. And so the speed that you make decisions is so important, because if you make decisions really fast, let's say they're inaccurate, you can course correct because you're going so fast. You can say, okay, this didn't work, boom, we're already here, while somebody else is still stuck on that first decision, and they couldn't make it. But the thing is, after 30 minutes, if you spent, let's say you need to take the whole day to make a decision, your decision isn't actually getting accurate. You're just delaying actually making the decision. And this is a harsh reality that a lot of people don't face. And really what you're doing is you're procrastinating because you don't want to take action. But action is key. You have to take a lot of action. You have to make thousands and thousands of decisions before you have $1 million, multi-million-dollar company, right? And so make decisions quickly. Don't overweigh, accuracy. The most serious decision, sit down, take 30 minutes, set a timer, think. And by the end of that 30 minutes, that is maximum accuracy, right? And then maybe if you think for 2 hours, maybe it goes up a few more percent. What's that, And then what you risk is overthinking now, because now that you've thought about it for so long, now it's kind of back to 50-50, because now you start second guessing yourself. You know what I mean? You know how it's like a lot of times your gut instinct is correct, but then you think of something else. But that thing was really wrong and you should have gone with your gut instinct. Sort of the same with decision making. Don't take too long to make them, because life is short, there's only 365 days in the year. If you take 1 day to make a decision, 365 decisions, that's not enough to make $1 million. You gotta think quickly. And so quitting too early, let's bring a talent together, controlling team and morale, relentless positivity. These are sort of all of the things that I listed out here. And, I could probably put more things on here. But this was sort of like a different type of video. This is just something that I'm really passionate about. I really like things that billionaires say, and understanding their vision with it. It's something that I resonate with, and I enjoy, building things. And so, maybe some of this stuff gave some insight. Maybe you fucking hated the video. I don't know. But if you're here, hopefully you liked it. I don't know why you're still watching if you didn't. But if you have a clear vision, and you have a plan, you can reverse engineer a plan. You can get there, and every day you need to be coming back to your team, reiterating that vision, because the vision changes as you go on. Things change. And so you constantly have to be reiterating it, recalculating what things are going to be, but you keep it consistent. You put in the actions every single day, make decisions quickly, course correct quickly, eliminate losers, double down on winners, keep working. Do not tolerate mediocrity, right? Hold your team to a standard that you decide, and make sure that standard is upheld. Uphold the standard with your life. Defend the vision with your life. Defend the processes that work with your life. Do not sacrifice it for anyone. If you're in this game for quick money, then you're never going to make it, You're just not going to make it. You might make some quick money, but quick money goes away just as fast as it came, and I've lived that. So this is about building something long-term. This is about building an asset that will really pay you for a long time. And if you understand that and you're willing to do that, you will 100% get it. And find the right people. The right people will find you, and you will collide paths if you have if the vibe matches. I'm a big believer in energy, you know, and things coming together that should come together, and intention, right? And so, like, hopefully, you know, y'all enjoyed this video if you're still here, and peace out. It was Print.